Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, I hope you enjoy all the content here at Rosenberg Wrestling on YouTube. I hope you'll click subscribe and also subscribe to the Cheap Heat podcast wherever you find podcasts, your number one source for sports and recreation podcasts. It's part of the Ringer Wrestling Show. Again, you could find it anywhere you find podcasts, but morning after Raw and a lot to talk about. First of all, just in case you missed it and you want to catch up, no, CM Punk was not on Raw. He has been advertised for SmackDown this coming week. Whether that means we start getting towards a CM Punk, Heyman, Roman Reigns situation remains to be seen. But what we do know is that we did not get him last night in Albany. What we did get, though, were, I think, two major pieces to build on, maybe three, when it comes to the Raw men's picture. Number one, that would be Jey Uso losing his title opportunity to Seth Rollins, who remains the World Heavyweight Champion. We'll get to that in a minute. Also, Drew McIntyre fully now moving into just terrible guy territory, beating the hell out of Sami Zayn in the ring, and afterwards, backstage, maybe putting Sami Zayn on the shelf for a while, we don't know, and then getting involved at the end of the Rollins-Jey Uso match coming up and coming out to the ring, I should say, and beating down Jey Uso yet again. So just to be clear, Drew McIntyre has now officially entered your true bad guy territory. Flirted with it a few weeks ago, got into it last week, solidified it last night. That's who Drew McIntyre is. And let me say, I said this last week on Cheap Heat, of all the different things happening, obviously Punk is sucking a lot of air out of the room. But for me, Drew McIntyre taking this turn is one of the best things that could have happened, A, to Drew McIntyre, and B, to Monday Night Raw. Because McIntyre, as a good guy, had just run its course. You know, his story since he came back to WWE was a wonderful one. Every angle was sort of taken to make us as the fans identify with Drew McIntyre, relate to his story and appreciate it. Then, of course, he got screwed over by COVID. He didn't get to have the moment that we all hoped he would have. There are all these different reasons to sympathize with Drew McIntyre. But at the end of the day, he's a monstrous man. A perfect physical specimen, okay? It is tough in 2023 for that to be the good guy that you root for, okay? We saw a couple of good guys who are easier to root for. I would go as far as saying easy to root for in 2023. Last night in the main event Jey Uso, all right? That is an easy guy to root for in this era of wrestling. Seth Rollins, easy to root for. High-flying moveset, fun, interesting style, you know, and frankly, just somewhat relatable. I don't know that we live in an era where you can have a Hulk Hogan style hero who is 6'6", 6'7", 266, 270 pounds, and just looks like rippling muscle all the time. I don't know that that works now for who you root for. That these days translates into a bad guy. And you want to root for the smaller underdogs, flawed characters who you see overcome. That's a tough play for Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre now, by becoming this unhinged version of the Scottish Warrior, that is appealing. Everything about him lends itself to heel, except for, frankly, who Drew is as a guy. I mean, I don't want to ruin it because we're in the middle of the show here, but as lovely a dude as exists in the world. And sometimes, you know, they say a great wrestling character is just someone's real personality turned up just a little bit. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you guys, sometimes the best characters are completely opposite to who the people are. And that is what I think we're going to get here with Drew. I think we're talking about a real-life babyface who is going to be a dastardly, monstrous heel who runs roughshod over Raw. I think it gives him an opportunity to get the title on him again. I now absolutely put him in contention to take that title off of Seth Rollins. Hell, he gets interesting against basically anyone now. Now, of course, the other big title holders in WWE, not named Seth Rollins, happen to also be such not great guys. Gunther, the ring general, not a great guy. And Roman Reigns, even if you love him, not a great guy. So I don't know exactly where Drew will end up title picture-wise, but right now, that's not even relevant. He has beef with Jey Uso. He settled his beef, I guess, with Sami Zayn. And he clearly has beef with the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. So there is a lot on the horizon for Drew McIntyre. I'm here for all of it. I think this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of people who just never felt Drew McIntyre before to really feel what makes this guy awesome. Because let's just be real. He can talk. He looks great. He's interesting in the ring. He's not only strong and powerful, he can fly around, and the Claymore is cool. He's got so much stuff, man. He's really a five-tool player, and now you're going to get to appreciate it now that the character, I think, really has some intrigue. So shouts to the terrible guy that is Drew McIntyre. Now that brings us to the main event with the main event, Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. Jey put up an incredible effort, comes up short, and it begs the question, when it comes to main event Jey Uso, what is the ceiling for Jey Uso? Is there a singles title out there that Jey Uso can win? Please tell us that in the comments. Hey, I have two questions for the comments today, for right now, and I'm going to get in the comments and battle around with you. Number one, are you much more interested in Drew McIntyre right now than you were previously? And number two, what singles title is out there for Jey Uso? Could he be a champion on his own? Because as great as the entire thing has been, Jey Uso still, I'm sure, would love to take one more step to being more than just the moniker main event Jey Uso and truly being main event Jey Uso. Now, he was main event Jey Uso last night on Raw. But without his cousin being in the match, can he be PLE main event Jey Uso? Can he be a singles champion? And if so, what title is that? Is he going to beat Roman Reigns? Most would say no, Jey is not the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns, though I think it would be really interesting in full circle. We saw last night he had a shot at Seth Rollins. Didn't happen. My guess, and I'm just guessing, with them having that match on free TV, is that he's not taking that title off of Seth Rollins, at least not anytime soon. Now, could Jey Uso go after the ring general, Gunther? And is that the perfect place for Jey Uso to go? When you think about what the Intercontinental Championship is supposed to be, wouldn't a program with Jey Uso and Gunther elevate both of them? And wouldn't Jey Uso dethroning Gunther somehow, by hook or by crook? Wouldn't that be the biggest moment in Jey Uso's career? I'd say yes. Not only that, I'd say Jey Uso walking around with the IC Championship makes the IC Championship mage, just like it's been mage with Gunther. Is there a way you can do that? Have Jey Uso compete for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther and win, and not have it really hurt Gunther? Completely spitballing. Is there a world in which Jey Uso gets a shot at Gunther and Jimmy gets involved and it ends up costing Gunther? But Jimmy's not doing it because he wants to help his brother. He's doing it because he wants to have a match with his brother for the title at WrestleMania. Is there a way to do that where Gunther gets away unscathed, still dominant? But the truth is with Gunther, He's getting so big that if you want to take Gunther to the World Championship place, he's got to move on from the Intercontinental Championship. At a certain point, that title can become too much, can weigh you down. But it would be perfect around the waist of Jey Uso. I'm not ruling out that Jey Uso could one day be world champion. I think we saw last night that he looks like the man in there in the biggest spots with the Seth Rollins. I think we all would agree with that. But in this moment, I don't think world championship is where Jey Uso is going to be. I think he could be primed, though, for that IC. And I would love to see that. Comment below, where would you like to see Jey Uso go? And what are your thoughts on this new version of Drew McIntyre? A lot more happened. I'm also very curious to see what CM Punk will say on SmackDown on Friday. Are we about to get to it? Or is this just going to be part of the Welcome Me Home tour? Celebrate Me Home CM Punk tour? Or on Friday, does he get interrupted and do we start getting down to business? We'll find out on Friday. Also, we saw some developments with Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura. The Creed brothers continue to Creed brother. There's a lot happening. And if you want to hear us break it all down, like I said, go listen to today's episode of Cheap Heat on the Ring of Wrestling Show, wherever you find podcasts. And don't forget to hit subscribe to @Rosenberg Wrestling. Shouts to my bro Emilio Sparks. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, Jey Uso, IC champion? Could it be?